Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Not the most popular one or the most famous one on YouTube, one could say, but hopefully it provides you with a little bit of information and a little bit of entertainment and gives you some ideas or inspiration as to which book to buy next, or which city to travel to, or even just to hop on a train in your local city or a bus and take a ride somewhere. I do sound a little bit different, I think, because I recently got back just a couple of days ago from a trip to Salt Lake City and somehow lost my voice on the last day that I was there, and I'm struggling to recover that, but I will be traveling again soon, and as a result I wanted to record something before I disappear and before too much time goes by and you miss me and my beautiful plant that is just growing out of control. And I wanted to talk to you today about one of my favorite publications, one of my favorite personalities, writers and books, and that is A Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And the book was published in 1890, a philosophical fiction and a Gothic horror novel. And I love that period, the final decade of the 19th century, the fin de siècle, as the French called it, and as we have stolen the wording from their language, which basically just meant the end of the century, but it also happened to coincide with what society at the time felt was the end of many things, with the arrival of railways and industrialization and the destruction of land and peace as it was known at the time. So there was a strong reaction to this, and this period, this final decade, brought us books such as Dracula, Frankenstein, and in this particular case, the beautiful Picture of Dorian Gray, Oscar Wilde's only novel. Although you would certainly know Oscar Wilde and feel that he's quite prolific, the majority of his works were plays, poems, and so on. And as you may guess from the title of the book, the story revolves around a portrait of Dorian Gray, and Dorian Gray, who meets the hedonistic Lord Henry Wotton, who is an absolutely brilliant character, my favourite character in the book, starts to change his ways and in fact agrees and sells his soul, Dorian Gray does, for this exchange that he remains young and beautiful whilst the portrait grows older and takes on the appearance that stems from any of the crimes and the sins that Dorian Gray commits. One of the literary tools that I love the most deployed by Oscar Wilde, and probably I describe them as literary tools, more personality traits, is just his completely unusual switching of terms and really stating the unexpected. And this can be seen in the novel through Lord Henry Wotton in particular, with his play on words in many cases. But one of the things about this book that makes it just as relevant today as it was 135 years ago when it was published is that in fact 130 years ago in 1895, Oscar Wilde was imprisoned for basically for his sexual preference, the fact that he was homosexual. He was put into prison for this. 2 years hard labour, a stint from which he never truly recovered. He did write the fantastic letter De Profundis while he was in prison, and then did write a lengthy poem called The Ballad of Reading Gaol, when he came out, and that was his final work before he passed away. And it's incredible. I remember encountering The Picture of Dorian Gray and Oscar Wilde for the first time in the very late 90s, 1995, 96, something like that. And I remember learning more about him and thinking, thank goodness we're past those times. Thank goodness society is more enlightened, more progressive, more open, and more willing to accept diversity and different beliefs and so on. And here we sit in 2025, realizing that that is no longer quite the case. There are still people out there who want to take your civil rights away based on your sexual preference. And so, as you know, I could blabber on and on for hours. I don't want to talk too much more about the book or about Oscar Wilde. I want you to go out there and purchase or loan the book. Go out there and study a little bit more about Oscar Wilde. Read some of his poetry, some of his plays, read his letter, De Profundis, and I'm sure that you will enter into a world of humour, pleasure, philosophical debate, deep thought, and come out at the end a much better person. I know that you're a great person already, but after this journey, you will be an even better person. Thank you for joining me. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.